everyone, my name is BlackWitchDirah. I am a Luciferian witch of the left-hand path and also an occult educator. Welcome to those who are new to my channel and to those who are returning. On this channel I talk about all sorts of occult topics and upload every Saturday. So if that is something you're interested in, please consider subscribing. So today I thought I would do a video talking a little bit about Santa Muerte, just because I've not done a video on Santa Muerte, solo anyway, and I haven't really spoken about her on this channel, and it's kind of strange that I haven't done a video on her seeing as I work with her so heavily, so I thought I would do a video on that this week. But before I get into that, a few announcements. Where do I start with the announcements? So Santa Muerte, working with Santa Muerte parts 1 and 2 are available to enroll on. Part 1 is a finished course that I released last year, and now we are working on part 2 that is also available to be enrolled on, and we are uploading new content every week. I'm also working on Witch Skills with Atius Dade, which is an upcoming occult school that we will be opening very soon. I'm working on lots of content there, so there is a mailing list to subscribe to if you are interested in that. Also, initiation into life and death, there is some progression with this, so I'm aware that it's been a little bit quiet on that front in terms of new stuff coming up with that. You know, so far we've only had the mailing list, but we are now at the stage where we want to release a start date to start working with people on that. So if you're interested in that and you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the mailing list and filling out the consultation form as well, because we are getting back to consultation forms this week. So let's get into the video. So I started working with Santa Muerte in 2018, I believe, so we're talking about 6 years, which I'm aware is not that long in comparison to others, but I'm not really about comparing journeys anyway. But yeah, I just wanted to basically do a video on my experience working with her, as well as, you know, challenges, setbacks and epiphanies. So I guess a good starting point is what drew me to working with Santa Muerte in the first place. So I feel like I've always had somewhat of an affinity with death, being a Scorpio, having certain experiences through my life. I feel like I've always sort of had an affinity with death or some kind of alignment there. So it started when first of all discovering who she was and seeing her imagery in a lot of places, and, you know, doing a little bit of research on her, finding out that, you know, she is open to everyone. And, you know, my practice with her began somewhat light-hearted, in the sense that I wouldn't have considered myself a devotee straight away, but, you know, I made the connection, and it was the strongest response that I'd had from working with I'm going to use deity as an umbrella term. Santa Muerte is a saint, but I'm going to use that as an umbrella term. It was the strongest response I'd had from a deity at that time. So I was quite moved by that. I was moved by it in the sense that the response was vivid, it was intense. So the response was undeniable. I knew that I'd established a connection. I knew that, you know, this was working, this was, you know, meant for me. So I continued to build that relationship, you know, through offerings, through you know, kind of extending the altar, adding things to the altar, you know, this constant kind of establishing her place in my practice. And I didn't attempt work with her straight away, like as in for like my own gain. You know, I'd like the odd sort of like 7-day candle here and there, but in terms of like novenas and proper workings, I hadn't really done anything like that as of yet. So I think the first working I ever did with her was around money, because I remember I moved to a new place and I was struggling financially because the rent was higher, and yeah, I didn't have, you know, I couldn't make ends meet at the time. So this could be considered as sort of like emergency money magic, which isn't the best money magic to be doing. You know, with money magic, I just finished Financial Sorcery by Jason Miller, by the way. Really good book, highly recommend. And he says that emergency money magic is the worst kind of money magic, because ideally what you want to be doing is maintaining your wealth so that you don't have to do emergency money magic. It doesn't come to that, and sometimes by the time situations are an emergency, it's too late to fix it with magic. But I also believe that emergency money magic has its place, because there are times we do have these unexpected, not that this was an unexpected expense, you know, I decided to move there, but sometimes we do have other unexpected expenses come up that we're just like, how am I going to cover that? So I do believe that emergency money magic has its place, but if you are just practicing emergency money magic, it's kind of like, you know, come on. So anyway, so I kind of did this emergency money magic with Santa Muerte, and boy did she come through. She came through hard and saved my ass, basically. So that was the first kind of thing where, you know, I really felt her come through for me. So, you know, I continued this working relationship with her, and then I made a huge mistake. I made a massive mistake. When I did that video on relationships with the Infernal, and I also spoke about this on my Instagram as well in a reel, I spoke about how working relationships with the Infernal are not loving, they're not intimate. Okay, with Santa Muerte it's very different, and people questioned why I said that. Santa Muerte is the universal mother, she is death, we all return to her no matter what. She holds the globe in her hands because she owns it. She owns life, we all return to her, and I don't understand why people can't make the differentiation between that and the Infernal. Anyway, so what you need to understand about working with Santa Muerte is it's very deep, it's very intimate, and it is loving. And she does love you. So when you break her heart, she will break yours as well. So what happened was I kind of decided that I didn't want to work with her anymore for a brief moment. I remember it so vividly. It was a day where I just thought, do you know what? I think I'm gonna stop doing this. And what was behind that was my own self-doubt, and I'll come into that when I talk about certain challenges I've had with Santa Muerte. I had this kind of underlying thing where I didn't feel good enough, and I didn't think that it was working because when I feel like I'm unworthy or something, I become complacent, because it's this kind of subconscious thing where it's like, if I hold back then I'm not gonna get hurt. I think it was like along the lines of that. Anyway, so I kind of was just like, okay, I'll leave her altar out for tonight, and then tomorrow I'm gonna put it away. Breaks my heart saying that now. And this was after like a year into working with her. And so I decided to put her altar away, and then I came back to check on it later. The whole fucking thing was on fire. The altar was on fire. Her statues were fine, but everything else was fucked. Like glasses had broken and everything. I was like, shit. I was like, okay, I've fucked up. I've fucked up big time. So yeah, I phoned a friend who phoned a friend who was a Santa Muerte devotee, and I said to him, yeah, I think I've really fucked her off. He was like, yeah, you've broken her heart, you know, you need to work out how to fix this. So I showered her with love, I prayed to her every day, I slept by her altar, I cried myself to sleep laying next to her altar, and eventually she forgave me. And since then it just created a whole new depth to our relationship and how seriously I took it. And I feel like the longer I work with her, the more serious I take our relationship. And since then I haven't faltered, you know, I haven't done anything as stupid as that. The only other time where I felt like she's been majorly pissed off with me is, or not even majorly, but where I've just briefly felt her wrath was when I released my Santa Muerte Part 1 course, and I remember I finished uploading it, it was published, it was ready to go, and I just felt this feeling of self-doubt. I was just like, I shouldn't be doing this. Who do I think I am? And she came through and she was like, what? Like, she basically told me to fucking pull myself together, essentially. Her wrath is pretty terrifying, but if you do things right, you won't have to experience it. I would say that this year so far, my relationship with Santa Muerte has reached new depths, partly because of my work doing Santa Muerte Part 2. That has obviously involved me working very heavily with her. And oh, I just felt this moment. And yeah, so it got to the point where this year I actually made a very big sacrifice to Santa Muerte. When I say sacrifice, sacrifice is such a huge part of doing this stuff. Such a huge part of doing this stuff. And I mean, just like, if you're taking occultism seriously in general, sacrifice is a huge thing. I feel like the stigma attached to sacrificing is like, people think, oh, you mean like animal sacrifice or human sacrifice or something, you know, really along those lines, that is understandably frowned upon. But sacrifice is simply giving something that you're not going to get back. So, for example, your time is a sacrifice. But the sacrifice I made to Santa Muerte, I'm not allowed to disclose what it is, but it was something really, it was huge for me. It was something I knew I needed to let go of. And I knew that in order to progress with my own growth and spiritual evolution, I had to let go of it. And I remember saying it to her. I was like, you know, I want to make this sacrifice to you. And she said to me, you do know that's going to hurt, right? She goes like, that's going to really hurt when you do that. I was like, yeah, I know. And that's part of the devotion. That's part of the devotion. I'm pointing at my heart a lot in this video. I don't know if you can see, but I'm constantly like doing that because all of this is coming from the heart. It's part of the devotion. It's the willingness. Like, I was willing to go through that pain of letting go of that stuff for her. Obviously, it's not like I wasn't going to get anything out of it. I knew it was going to be good for my growth, but oh my god, it was absolutely agonizing. It was agonizingly painful. You know, it was a death. So, you know, that's just an example of how my relationship with her has reached new depths. Now I want to go into the kind of setbacks and challenges that I faced. Okay, as a Caucasian woman, as a European woman, when people see me online, when some people see me online working with Santa Muerte, they question whether I am culturally appropriating. So working with Santa Muerte is not cultural appropriation because she is not a closed practice. She's not, you know, she's open to everyone because she is death and death comes for us all. Now, if I start walking around calling myself a bruja, we're gonna have a problem. If I walk around and start doing things that some Santa Muerte devotees might do but are ultimately part of a closed practice, yeah, we're gonna have a problem. But the thing is that you can work with Santa Muerte without taking anything from her culture. You can work with Santa Muerte without taking anything from anyone, because she is for everyone. She's not limited. By working with Santa Muerte, you are not taking anything from anyone. I've also, some of the offerings I've made to Santa Muerte are very, and this isn't me, I don't know how to describe it, like trying to score brownie points or like, you know, win kind of like a token of like, oh, what a fucking do-gooder I am, because I can't stand that shit. I can't stand it when people are like, I support people of colour, creators online, simply because they are people of colour, because what that says to me is like, it's this virtue signalling thing and it lacks authenticity. Support a creator that is of colour because you genuinely like what they're about, not just because of that. Because personally, like, I would find that reducing someone to their ethnicity, to their race, really insulting. So this isn't me like doing that, but what I will say is that a lot of the offerings that I've made to Santa Muerte I've bought from small Mexican businesses. So for example, her altar cloth, and a necklace that I gave her, and various other things I've bought from small Mexican businesses for a lot of money as well. I've spent a lot of money on Santa Muerte. I do like to spoil her. So that was kind of me giving appreciation to her roots and to her culture by supporting that, instead of, you know, maybe buying something a bit more mainstream for the sake of profiting off of Santa Muerte, for example. And this isn't me like shitting on people that can't afford to buy really nice authentic things from Santa Muerte. Like, if all you can afford is something off of Temu, then fair enough. But what you've got to understand about Temu is that, or Temu, however you say it, is, you know, these sort of like big, I don't know how to describe it, but those like big companies, they're going to profit over what they think is popular. So, you know, there's that as well. It's like, obviously affordability, like you might only be able to afford something that is off of a, you know, mass produced on Amazon or AliExpress or something. But if that's what you can afford and that's how you're going to appreciate and work with Santa Muerte, then obviously that's fine. So yeah, a major challenge for me was getting over what other people thought. You know, I got called a lot of things, like, you know, telling me that I'm a colonizer and that I'm insulting natives. But the thing is when people call out that stuff, a lot of them haven't actually been to Mexico or ever worked with Santa Muerte. So that's the thing as well. She is for everyone, but it's not a case of like, if you work with her, you're automatically disrespecting her culture. You're not. But basically what I did was I allowed these opinions of other people to get to my head, and, you know, I experienced a lot of doubt about my relationship with Santa Muerte. I was kind of like, what if they're right? But then Santa Muerte said to me, look at your heart. And I could see my heart in her skeletal hands, and she was like, there you go, like it's in your heart. So I'd say that was the major challenge for me, getting over what other people thought. I still have a thing where I'm reluctant to talk about her, and part of me doing this video is trying to step out of that, you know, get out of that comfort zone of hiding that part of my practice because I'm worried about what other people think. I watched Cressida Stone on the Order of Chaos podcast, and she made a really great point of the fact that her being an her having the privilege of being educated, and, you know, the privilege of access to the internet, a privilege of a platform, being able to share this practice is something a lot of people in rural Mexico don't have. And she spoke about how, you know, she's been to Mexico many times and, you know, worked closely with these people, and how appreciative they were of her for, you know, writing her book and getting this message out, getting this word out. Because Santa Muerte, death is to be shared. She is for everyone. Doesn't mean she's right for everyone. Like, you might work with Santa Muerte and feel, you know, figure out that it's not right for you because it's not right for everyone. But ultimately, she is for, you know, she's available to everyone. She's non-judgmental. She doesn't care about who you are, what you do, what you have done. She's so non-judgmental. So that's what I mean by when I say Santa Muerte is a universal mother, in the sense that she's so loving and she is always there. Death is ever present. So my advice for people who want to work with Santa Muerte would be to buy my... I'm joking. Although you can if you want, they're linked in the description. But I don't want this video to just be a pitch for my stuff. But, you know, it's there if you want it. But... So yeah, my advice is to people who want to work with Santa Muerte is to open your heart, open your mind, and to just allow, to just surrender to that energy of death. Understand that you are not judged. Try your best to let go of any preconceived notions that might be unhelpful. You don't even need to get yourself a statue. You can get yourself a picture and just leave a few offerings by the picture to get started. Say a few prayers, connect with her, show her that you're there, show her your appreciation, show her that you invite her into your life, and just see what you get back, see what you feel. If you don't feel anything, try it out for a bit longer. If you decide it's not right for you, respectfully depart before you get into something intense. But you might find that when you try to depart, she's like, no, 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 carry on, carry on. So yeah, that's my advice, is just make the connection. You don't have to have an extravagant altar. You don't have to make these extravagant offerings. Give her what you can for now, and just reach out. Anyway, my camera is dying, so I'm really kind of having to rush this ending here. So as I said, the links to all of my stuff are in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next Saturday.